Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming to Camp ADHD. And for those of you who are listening on YouTube right now, hello, my name is Abby, and I'm here to talk about communication and ADHD and how to connect with people. Now, I realize as I say that my presentation says how to connect with people, it's less of a how to and more of me sharing my own experience with having ADHD and becoming a better communicator in my relationships of all kinds. And yeah, so a little bit about me. So I am 23. I am from Ontario, Canada. I am a PR and communications professional. I am on the team for Camp ADHD. Specifically, I am one of the co-directors and I oversee communications here at Camp ADHD. I'm also a mod on the ADHD support group Discord, and some of my own personal work, I am a writer. Specifically, I like writing about neurodiversity and Christianity, sometimes both at the same time, sometimes separately. And the reason why I like writing about neurodiversity and Christianity is because I do believe that the church can learn to how to and to be better supports to the neurodiverse community. Now, my own diagnosis story, I was diagnosed with ADHD and Asperger's at age 4, but then I was reassessed at 18. And it turns out I still have ADHD. That's why sometimes I joke with people and say that I have ADHD so badly that I was diagnosed with it twice. And my Asperger's diagnosis was not true, and instead I have a nonverbal learning disability. Um, I love creating content, whether it's digital or written content, that means something and creates conversation and ultimately builds connection with people. And on top of obviously my love for writing, I love photography, graphic design, iced coffee, pop culture, and connecting with people. And for those of you who care, my Myers-Briggs is ENFP, and I am a 7 on the Enneagram with a very strong 8 wing. So let's get started into the presentation. So, connecting with people. I personally am a strong believer that regardless of who we are, regardless of what we've been through, where we come from, our walk of life, we were created to be social beings. So, relationships with people are very important to have. However, for those of you who have ADHD and you're watching this, you know that ADHD and symptoms can make socializing actually difficult. Now, I think I can kind of tell you all what those factors are, but I think a lot of you already know. But let's still go through them. I think the biggest one is that we can have difficulty picking up on social cues. If just tell us what you need rather than trying to make us guess. Sometimes we interrupt people while they're speaking. Sometimes we think of what to say next instead of actually listening to the person or people we're having conversation with. We get distracted by what's happening around us or what's going on inside of our heads. Sometimes we go off topic or we over communicate. And sometimes we have difficulty managing emotions or we overreact to something. And because of executive dysfunctioning, we might have trouble following through or following up. And everyone's favorite, I say that kind of sarcastically, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, the good old RSD. Now, if you think about it, that's a lot. Like, phew, that's a lot of things that make socializing difficult for people with ADHD. Now, you're probably wondering, Abby, how do I socialize it in a better and more healthy way? Notice how I don't say the best way or the right way, but a better and more healthy way. Now, what has helped me personally, again, this is just my own experience I'm sharing with all of you who are listening. The biggest thing that's helped me is taking a step back and reflecting. And here are kind of the areas or the things that I think about when I'm taking a step back and reflecting. I think about what am I doing to prevent myself from connecting or communicating well? Do I have any past hurts that I'm trying to protect, or am I trying to protect myself or build, the saying, I'm not gonna let you hurt me, so I'm gonna back away. And is there our own toxic behaviors or beliefs? This is a big thing, as much as, there are other people in our lives that can affect us. I think it's important to take a step back and reflect on, some of the unhealthy things that we're doing to ourselves and other people. Is there anything else just getting in the way of connecting and communicating well? Just think about it. Think about what's going on inside of you, whether it's a current or past hurts or your own, again, unhealthy behavior. And with my mom being a life coach, one thing she often says to me, Abby, what are your feelings telling you about yourself? So, I think it's important to recognize your feelings and, what are they telling you about yourself or how you feel about yourself? And another question you can ask is, why am I not present or present with people? And what can I do when I'm not feeling present or you're feeling distracted? You can interchange distracted and present. And lastly, am I allowing myself to slow down and genuinely listen? Again, ADHD can really impact how we socialize, and I think in some cases we can recognize where we set ourselves up for failure and self-sabotage our relationships. Now, in this talk, if I want you to take away anything, because I know I've already said a lot, but if there's anything I want all of you to take away is just this simple thing. How can I take ownership of the things I can change and control, while also giving myself grace about the things I can't change or control? I'm going to say that one more time. How can I take ownership of the things I can change and control, while also giving myself grace about the things I can't change or control? This is huge, everyone, because we could all use a little bit more grace towards ourselves. Now, kind of going into the more practical things you can do, say you've been working on yourself, you've done some important self-reflection, self-awareness work, and here are the things you can do within your relationships. Be upfront with your friends or other people. Now, if you haven't already disclosed your ADHD to a person, disclose if you feel ready and comfortable and that you can trust them. And be honest that you're aware of the difficulties and are working on them. And even just say, hey, I've been thinking about the things that, you know, make socializing difficult, and I want to let you know that I am working on them, and invite them in to support you as well. This is another one. Do apologize when you interrupt or zone out. If you interrupt someone, make sure you say, oops, sorry about that, continue. Or if you zone out, say, I'm so sorry, my brain was in another world. Please forgive me, but don't apologize for being you. There's a big difference about apologizing for mistakes that you made, but apologizing for being you, you don't have to do that. Another big thing is to find ways to be present. And that can be so many different things. Ask questions. One thing that I find is asking questions to keep conversation going. Find something to do while chatting or fidget with something, ground yourself. Try to find ways to slow your brain down. Often when I'm in conversations, to kind of help myself listen well and to be better present, is sometimes I repeat back what they've said and then add thoughts, or I ask a lot of questions. Or you know what? One thing I do, especially if I'm sitting down and I'm at a table and I'm feeling a little anxious, sometimes I just take the palms of my hands and just rub them on my knees, and that helps me be more present with people. This is another really big thing, and this is to talk to someone you know and trust about what they notice and how they can encourage you in socializing better. Again, this is someone, unlike the first person, this is someone who knows and loves you and you trust, and they'll be able to give you feedback with some grace, and they're able to partner truth with love. And they know you at this point, they know you well, so they can tell you some really important things. Now, this is a really big one. So you've been working on yourself, again, self-awareness, but notice what environments you're in when you're socializing. Do they make you anxious? Does being in a big crowd make you anxious? Do busy restaurants make you more distracted or make you less present? Do certain types of people make socializing harder? This is big because, one thing with having ADHD is sometimes we don't always recognize when people are toxic. and we don't always recognize when other people are unhealthy for us. And I think it's important to think about how your friends have been treating you and think about the people who make socializing more difficult for you because they don't listen or they don't respect boundaries or they don't take you seriously or they use you in a sense. So pay attention to those kinds of people and pay attention to do you socialize better one-on-one in small groups or bigger groups? And yeah, just pay attention to what's going on around you and who is around you. And one thing that has definitely helped me, and I know this probably helps me because I'm an extrovert, is just the practice. And that means, putting yourself out there and socializing. One of the ways you may be able to learn how to connect with people is through trial and error. Learning through successes and mistakes can be really important because it gives you can kind of go through the motions of socializing, which is really, really important. And sometimes it might hurt and your RSD might kick in, and I totally understand that, but it's important. It's important to put yourself out there a little bit. Now, in talking about friends again, one important thing to remember, kind of like I mentioned before when talking about things to be aware of when it comes to people, sometimes people aren't the kindest, but the people who want to be around you will accept you for you. And not only will they accept you, they'll encourage you to live as your best self and give you space to learn and grow, meaning they will come alongside you and journey with you as you learn how to socialize in a more healthy way. And again, they're going to respect your boundaries. They're going to respect what you say because don't forget, there is a difference between forgetting boundaries and just blatantly not respecting them, period. And we're all human and won't be able to socialize perfectly on the first try. And I really want to encourage all of you, please give yourself time and space to grow. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're all figuring this thing out. And I so believe that you're all worthy of healthy relationships of all kinds. Not just friendships, but romantic relationships with your bosses, your coworkers, your classmates, uh, I think I already said romantic relationships, but romantic relationships, your family, you're all worthy of healthy relationships, and you shouldn't settle for relationships that feel gross or feel one-sided or feel like neither of you are encouraging each other to grow. Now, here are two questions. Now, in the chat, we'll kind of discuss these together. But if you're sitting at home right now, here are two questions that you can ask yourself as kind of a bit of a starting point. And the first question is, what makes socializing difficult for you? For myself personally, I know I'm an over communicator, and sometimes over communicating, I can interrupt people. So, identifying the thing or multiple things. Well, actually, just start with one. Start with one thing that makes socializing difficult. And a second question after you've identified that is, what is a goal or hope and dream you can set for yourself to socialize better? So for me, as I've been learning how to socialize in a more healthy way, is just listening and learning how to be present and doing things that ground me and that make me want to be there, be present for people. And it's been helpful to kind of reflect on that. Now, if anyone has any questions for me, go right ahead. And if you are listening on YouTube, make sure if you have any questions, I will be linking my social medias in the bio, as well as my own website. And for those of you who are interested in reading about my work on neurodiversity and Christianity, I will be linking my blog as well, or you can leave any questions in the comments. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to everyone who attended Camp ADHD. It's been a great day so far, and I just want to encourage all of you, wherever you are, however you're listening to this, that you are so worth having healthy relationships, and you are good enough, you are smart enough, and you are worthy enough. And I think sometimes as people with ADHD or neurodiverse people, we forget that. But I just want to remind you all that you're worth having healthy friendships and relationships. And on that note, I hope you all are having a fantastic morning, day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. And yeah, have a great day, everyone.